Hello, my friend. So I wanted to hop on quickly and talk about getting your pre-existing notation files into Dorico version 2. We've talked about getting Finale files ported over to Dorico, but I got a lovely comment yesterday. I love comments, by the way, asking about Sibelius and converting those files. The commenter wanted to know what version of XML Sibelius was using. This made me curious. As you may be aware, I'm one of those folks who mostly made the jump from Finale a number of years ago, before Dorico even existed. I do go back to Finale from time to time, but I settled on Sibelius 15 years ago as my go-to notation app for personal projects. Since then, I've only used Finale for projects that were being done by teams in Finale and for circumstances where I was doing tech support for Finale users. This Dorico series that we're doing was instigated by Finale's goodbye and their move to suggest Dorico as a suitable replacement. Even though I've always been a user of Sibelius for that 15-year period, I agree that from my perspective, Dorico is a better solution. But I hadn't even thought about Sibelius to Dorico. So I want to cover that translation process as well. But of course, I also thought Betamax was better than VHS. If you don't understand what that means, God bless you. But it was true, even if the marketplace eventually said otherwise. Recap. We already went over the conversion formats and versions for getting older projects from Finale, linked below. Suffice it to say that you use the musicXML format and you export your file or files, because you can batch export, into a document or documents in the XML format. Then you can import them into Dorico and make any tweaks so you didn't get translated along the way. Now recall, Finale exports into musicXML 4.0, which is the latest version of XML export and is really much better suited to transfer score formatting correctly, in my experience. I think that's one of the last, if not the last, feature that they added before calling it quits. Also, Dorico speaks 4.0 as well. What version of musicXML does Sibelius in fact support? Version 3.0, at least I think so. Once I found out that you just can't see it in the Get Info window on the Mac, I tried to find a piece of software for determining what a musicXML file is in version-wise. You can see a lot of stuff in that Get Info window. For example, the duration, format, sample rate, channel count, and bit depth of an audio file. So it was not insane to hope that Get Info would also show the version of a musicXML file as well. Then I also couldn't find a piece of software dedicated to giving that information. Couldn't find it, and I Googled. Now, it would seem that Sibelius, as of its latest version, which I updated to today to test, exports musicXML 3.0 natively. When I opened the XML file as text, I found this in the first few lines of code, which clearly show it as version 3.0. On the other hand, I have seen version info entered incorrectly in the header of code in the past. But to believe it is to err on the side of caution. If you're wondering how version 3 and version 4 of the musicXML format actually differ, here are a few things that version 4 added. Export of dotted and thick bar lines. Export of wings on repeat bar lines. Export of transposition information of concert scores, including alternate clefs for transposed parts. Export of musicXML files for dynamic parts. Export of cross-staff notation, export of page-aligned text, export of figured bass. So that's a lot of stuff. This is from the release notes of Dole 8.3 for Sibelius. Now, Dole, spelled D-O-L-E-T, is a plugin that has versions for Sibelius and Finale. As of 2011, it has been owned by Make Music, the parent company of Finale. Heads up. In Sibelius, version 8 of Dole only runs with the ultimate version. I hope that if you're wondering about switching over to Dorico from Sibelius, this might help. I haven't tested this much, but if you have any experience with it, let folks in our community know in the comments how you fared. Just now, though, I thought I'd play with this a little bit, and so I did save a finale file from version 2008 in XML format 4.0, and then I imported that file into both Sibelius and Dorico. While neither was perfect, the problems I had in Sibelius were a little more problematic. Although the one Dorico problem actually looked scarier at first, Sibelius had a few issues that suggested to me that the limitation about XML3 versus 4 led to a lot of various problems in formatting. While the Dorico version of the import was actually easy to deal with once I realized what the problem was. Specifically, Dorico had put some odd meter bars across 2 frames. That's Dorico's word for all the music on a page is a frame. Fixing this was actually pretty easy and simply involved deleting a page break where the problem occurred with the backspace key, while the fix for the Sibelius translation problems was more time-consuming. You saw some of that gibberish that comes out in an earlier video. Most of it came across pretty well in Dorico, and I think it has mostly to do with that difference in XML version. Finally, I really don't know if Dole offers batch conversion, like in Finale 27.4.1, but we're going to check into that in a minute. Sibelius's native conversion does have batch conversion, so let's have a look at that here to see that in action. First, I go into Plugins in the Home window where all the batch plugins are, and right here you'll see Convert Folder of Scores to musicXML. If I pick this, note that the choices are all open scores, meaning all the scores that are open in the program right now, current score, just the one that's in front, or process folder. So there's our batch choice, process folder. So I'll try this with a folder of scores from a film score I worked on a number of years ago. I'm going to put them in a separate folder, so I'll do that here. I'm going to create a folder for this now. Then I'll run the process. We'll speed the video up so that you can see how this works without wasting time. Okay, so we're done. Now note that the subfolders were automatically done, so you don't have to worry about making that choice like you do in Finale's preferences. Let's talk about how to open an XML file in a text editor. So let's take one of these scores that I just exported, and I'm going to right-click on that, and I'm going to go to Open With. Now over here on the right, in the first spot, you'll see the default app used to open it, and then you can open it in any one of these other apps that shows here. So I'm going to open it in TextEdit, which is the basic text editor on the Mac OS. And I'm looking at a couple things here. One is this came from Sibelius 24.6.1. It's the current version of that. And we notice it's a direct export. It's not from Dole. And finally, it's musicXML 3.0. Okay, so let's install Dole into Sibelius. I'm going to go in here to my user account and make music. The link for this, by the way, is in the description. And let's log in. Now I'm going to download it. So now I'll go here and I'll expand it. There's the installer. I will agree to everything because, you know, that's what I do. And now, interesting, plugins, eh? So we'll do the README. Install on the Mac. First, quit out of Sibelius. Got that. In the Dole 8 for Sibelius Finder window, drag the plugins folder into the Sibelius folder. Okay, fine. Makes me nervous, but I will do it. So I'm just going to open it and see if it works. We're in the home plugins. Let's see. Let's search for Dole. That's not enough. So, well, we'll see. You're just supposed to drag that into there. Okay, so this Sibelius folder I just dragged this into is in the library. All right, let's just try dragging that into the plugin, see what that does. Well, it actually did something. Open Sibelius again. And then let's look into plugins. About Delay 8 for Sibelius. Okay. Export music XML. Let's just see what happens. You may have seen this in my last piano video where I was playing a drum. Okay, so we'll try exporting this. Plugins. Export music XML. Okay, there we go. Drum rhythm demo I will write, and then we'll do that. And then I'm going to go into that folder, and I'm going to do what I did before. Open with text edit. Here we go. Music XML 4.0, the Dole did. Sibelius 24.6, software Dole 8.3 for Sibelius. That's fantastic. Let's try doing a folder. Transport folder scores into XML. We'll open that up and we'll say yes to it. Okay, so it's working. Maybe we'll speed this part up too. Well, this is cool. So Dole does do batch conversions. Of course, you have to go get a cup of coffee because you never know when this is going to be finished. The built-in one had that progress window where it showed you where you were in your progress. This is very exciting though. Okay, relatively calm and quiet. So I guess we're done. Now I'm going to pop in here to the scores. So I'm going to open this in Dorico. Now while I'm waiting, keep in mind that when I tried to drag this plugins folder into the Sibelius folder, it didn't let me do it, which is good. So I opened this folder. I was able to do that by double-clicking it. And I dragged this music XML part into the plugins, which was revealed when I double-clicked this, which is that window right there. In this window, if I click here and hold the control key, I can see where it is. It's in the user library here. All right, not bad, not bad. Okay, so that's how you can download and install Dole into Sibelius. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.